Hi guys, Demonic Angel, and today we have the Seven of Swords. And I see a lot of social media jokes, occult jokes about the Seven of Swords. Like everybody's like, oh, this card, you know. It's probably not like people's favorites. I think when we think of the tarot, you know, there's just some that people really want to see Two of Cups for love or something, and that's right on, and you know that whole really feel good type of idea. But this is not this card. Seven of Swords. So obviously, with swords, we have the suit of the intellect, thinking. Anything along those lines, imagination, the putting together of ideas, even that kind of subconscious daydreaming in a way, because it's really not ideas yet. Ideas are when you pull different things you've thought about and trying to put them together in a more conscious way. But thinking just in general can be much more subconscious, and so that's the suit of air. So we have, I guess we'll just kind of go through the symbology here. You know, we've got the tent. There's some tents. They're very colorful, you know, in the background. So what I like to point out is that the tents are really that this guy is kind of, he's living and hanging out in a camp of, it's like he's a nomad, and you know, he's going from one village to another, and he's not, you know, there's not a castle like we've seen in some other cards. It's not a home, it's not a permanent thing, it's just tents. So this guy, he's a wanderer, a roamer, and that kind of thing. He's a nomad. He doesn't have, you know, all those things that you can really come up with in your mind. He doesn't have these strong ties to one location. And I'm talking about, you know, the upright meaning first, and obviously this is just betrayal, trickery, deceit, you know, grandiosity, that kind of thinking of you know, that you really one up people, and that kind of thing. But also in the background, in the very background, we have it's almost like a cloud, and then in the background you see the little tiny that's soldiers in the background. And these soldiers they've seen the gentleman in the foreground stealing swords, and they're coming after him. You know, they're alerted to what he's doing, and the little soldiers here, these are basically karma or the shadow, because this person is doing these shady things, and they're feeding a shadow aspect of themselves, or trying to get away kind of from karma. Then we have it still there in the background. So there, you know, that's the thing. This is kind of betrayal and trickery, deceit. That these ideas, there's consequences, and there is still karma. And this is what I like to say as my personal philosophy, and what many other spiritual people say too. There is no escape. That's what these soldiers represent. Whether you, you know, end your own life believing that you want to experience nothingness, or you know, you live a lifestyle that is just nothing but sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and there's just no other depth to that. Shopping addictions. Any of these things, guys, that you know what I'm talking about. Self-harm, excessive lying. Just make a list. There is no escape. There is no escape. The only escape is to, evolve, individuate, and face that process. Because, well, we are the subjective experience. We are the microcosm aspect of the macrocosm. So no matter what you think, there's going to be this subjective expression. And in my view, most people don't, in general, people aren't supposed to remember their last lives. But it doesn't mean that it didn't happen, and a lot of that has to do with our culture not valuing that, because a lot of other cultures believe in it, and a lot of other time periods in America have. So there's just that, and there's just no escape other than to eventually face it. But we do these things, we do these shady, bad things along the way of finding ourselves, and they have consequences. So these little soldiers, their karma, their consequences, they're the shadow self, the shadow, because that's there. Now, he's not worried about the consequences. He's not worried about these guys catching up to him, because he's going to get away and make his escape, judging by the look on his face. But they're there. The consequences, they're there. So there really is no escape other than facing that. So then we also, we can take a better look at our little gentleman character. He is, he's got this goofy hat on, and his hair is very disheveled. And he's also, what I'd like to point out is, he's in a kind of like pauper's clothing. And that is because he's kind of, because he's a nomad, he really just has whatever he has on his back. But the hat doesn't really fit him, and that kind of makes me think that he stole this too, along with the swords. And, because if it was a hat made for him, then it would probably fit better with his head, his hair. So it does not look that way, because he stole this. So he's just taking really petty things. So the hat for me kind of represents that aspect of, there's a main element of a betrayal situation, but then there's like this unnecessary backstabbing, or this, when we lose our heads and we do these low things, oftentimes, we as humans, we don't stop at that kind of thing. It's like, you want to get back at somebody, you got to make sure that it's cold revenge, or you want to, you want somebody to know that it was you who's done this, and that you've thought about the backlash, and you've taken all these precautions so that you've really thought it all out, so that they lose absolutely everything. When really you could have just, let's say, you could have just had a fist fight with somebody, and it could have ended like that, or you could have just, had some kind of revenge that wasn't that deep, and, left the person with something and some dignity in you, and left them something. But you didn't need to take the petty kind of stuff, the petty actions that kind of really go along with this. He's got 5 swords in his hands, and there's 2 behind. Now, he wanted to steal all of these, but he couldn't carry them all. He's not first degree murder, premeditated murder, okay? He's a second degree, which would be the heat of passion, the spur of the moment, and impulses. He didn't premeditate this idea, think it out. He just was like, fuck it, I'm going to steal this stuff, and I'm going to go. So he couldn't carry it all, and he left some of it behind. So we get that, and he's taking that with him. And he leaves the 2 behind. So since swords are ideas, it's like, swords are ideas in the sense of thinking. He's taking things like romantic interest, attention, borrowing too much money from a business partner, but you're not going to repay it back. You're aware that the business is gonna fold, but you do not say that until it's already happened and nothing can be done. So he's really taking the thinking aspects and thinking about from all avenues how he can better, get this for himself. Now, he is, because he's betrayal, this is all whatever benefits him. He's just really charming, and, if other people get hurt because of what he wants, that's okay. He doesn't really have a tie, he's just there for the taking, and that's what he is. That's what the Seven of Swords guy is. He really wanders and looks for more resources. These swords are kind of also resources where what kind of, if I can capture your attention and love and it's just this facade, well, after that feeling for him is over of really making somebody fall for him, then he's going to move on. If he's going to say, hey, I've got this great business idea, he's going to put so much effort into that, but hey, it really didn't go through, and hey, I forgot to tell you, I'll see you later, I've already left. And it's really just, obviously he's not a giving person. He will take whatever he can for himself. Obviously, we all go through this. We just have, this is really self-defeat, where it's the shadow of betrayal. So, upright, where the guy is, he's actively putting up this facade for the purposes of gaining resources, affection, money, and this makes him, feel thrilled, feel like that, well, he's living his escapist dreams, really. The reverse with self-defeat is, this can be a really positive aspect in the sense that when a person who does those kinds of things, they realize that it's empty and they're losing their friends, they're not going to have a stable relationship because of, what they're doing to sabotage it. So they start to feel that emptiness and realize that the emptiness doesn't go away with the escapist things that one tries to fill the void with. That it might create a kind of chemical temporary escape, but it's not filling, it's not lasting, and it's not good. And so when people start, they experience that and they start to think that, then we have some real healing that can happen, because the first step towards anything is the acknowledgement. And, when we have that, it has to be by the person doing that, then they can really move forward. But the other way I look at this card is, if it's self-defeat in the sense of, because of the person, we use traditional examples, having an affair in a relationship, then they're sabotaging the relationship. Let's say it was somebody they really could have gone well with. That's the self-sabotage coming in. Other things like that include, let's say a person is an alcoholic as escapism. That's going to sabotage health. Any of these shadow aspects of almost like the consequences, the shadow consequences of betrayal, trickery, deceit, that really are go along with that, whether they're the consequence of that or they're the expression of it. Okay, so that's that, and it's really, the two ways I really look at that reversed and see that, see that in a reading. If you look at things like, let's say you get this reversed, and then you pull a card like Temperance. That's really good, because then we're having somebody looking at their self-defeat, ready to look at their self-defeating things and temper that, mix it right, look at it for a holistic way. There's all kinds of other examples, people who, I see a lot of this on social media. Oh, I'm fat, I didn't start my diet, I'm just a clown. Obviously, that's for the attention that this person, the pity and the sympathy. But really what it is the self-sabotage. If a person really feels that this is, that they want, let's say, to lose weight, and it's not like a health reason, then the only person who can do anything about that is them. Facebook, Twitter, that kind of thing, it's not going to help you, but they don't want to look at it that way. They just want to complain. Self-sabotage. They could be spending their time and energy on actually looking into healthier lifestyles. So you just kind of get a feeling on that, and you kind of, I read a person, or I can even read emails and kind of get some energy. So anyway, hope that guys, I hope that helps you guys with the 7 of Swords, and I'll see you in the next one.